Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart and please don't break it. Love was made for me and you.
Hey, welcome to WBGR Sports Network and the Tom the Bomb Sports Talk Show. And this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we, L-O-V-E, love sports. On the Tom the Bomb Show, I'm your host, Tommy Wood. Our host today is Troy Wood. Later on, we're going to have Felix Bassey joining us with NHL playoff hockey. And we got another fantastic show for you today. As usual, we want to start off by thanking God for the new year. And our theme for 2024 is the year of fixed purpose. And if you keep your eyes on the prize, and we know that the prize is the word itself, it will allow us to ignore life's daily distraction, because that's all the enemy's trying to do, is he's trying to get you off the word. We're not going to let that happen in 2024, right, gang? Hey, got no trivia, no poll questions. Hey, gang, what are we watching tonight? Tonight, we got the NBA playoffs. Yep, we got the NBA playoffs. We got game number 4 at 7:30 p.m., which is the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. That series is 2-1 with the Celtics up. I think Troy and I are in agreement that they got no chance, but we'll see. Game 4 at 8:30 p.m. is the Thunder versus the Pelicans. And that series is 3-0 with OKC up, looking for the sweep tonight. And then finally, we have game 5 at 10 p.m. We got Nat Wood, the Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. And that series is 3-1. And LeBron said, we just got to get one. So that's where we're at. So, hey, look, guys, let's jump right into it. We got a big show tonight. Let's get right into it. Let's start off with the NFL draft. Are you there, Troy? All righty. Okay. So, hey, we had the NFL draft. And listen, let's just start off by the NFL rules, man. They set another record with over 700,000 people at the NFL draft over the 3 days. That's unbelievable. 700,000 people showed up for the draft. Man, I remember when they used to do it in one little bitty room, man. That's absolutely amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 2024 NFL draft grades. That's what we're going to do. And since the Chicago Bears had the number 1 pick, we're going to start with the Bears. But the reason we're starting with the Bears, Troy, is I feel like they were one of the few teams that got an A+, as far as Tom the Bomb field. In the first round, of course, like everybody knew, they took Caleb Williams. But then they stole Rome Odunze at 9. They got offensive tackle Kieran Amadi. And then they took a punter, Torrey Taylor. And then they got another defensive end, Austin Booker. But I thought they did fantastic in the draft. Now, Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze combined with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen could give the Bears their best passing attack ever. The second round pick that was dealt to Washington for Montez Sweat should also pay off now that his contract has been extended. Kieran Amadi offensive tackle, should contribute as a backup in 2024 and has starter potential down the road. Then they had Austin Booker, who has the potential as an edge rusher, and they improved their interior line by sending their 5th round draft pick to Buffalo for Ryan Bates. Troy, what was your take on the Bears draft? What's your grading? How do you feel like they did?
Get an A+, you have to knock everything out of the park. I mean, there was something during the times in which they took a guy where I was like, they could have waited a little bit. But, they got arguably the best receiver in the draft. Malik Neighbors out of LSU, is a real good prospect as well. But, Rome is up there with him, not as fast, but still a great route runner. And more importantly, they filled in the pieces that they needed to complete their offense. But they still need help on the offensive line. So that's why I still think that they still have a little bit of ways to go. But overall, them picking up, you forgot to bring up DeAndre Swift in free agency as
Right,
well.
right.
That's going to be huge for them to have. Okay, they got a deep threat. They got a couple of great route runners. They got a receiving back out the backfield that can also be an every down back as well. And they went and got their quarterback. Now it's just, can the Chicago Bears get out of their historic funk on not really being known as a prolific offense passing wise? So I think that with all these pieces, there's really no reason why they shouldn't be a little bit more prolific. But with that being said, all those guys outside of DeAndre Swift don't protect the quarterback. So, we'll see how everything works out for them. But it's definitely looking up for Chicago.
Well, traditionally, when you're the number one overall pick and you're a quarterback, usually you're going to a pretty bad football team. That's usually the case. I think that Caleb Williams is in a position, well, I know it. I think he's in the best position ever of a quarterback going number one overall to a team that's already got things put in place. Uh, I would have liked to have seen Justin Fields play with this team, but Caleb Williams is set up to hit the ground running, and I think the expectations are going to be very, very high for him. And I think he's going to do okay. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's going to do fine. I just, I'm not going to disrespect Justin Fields, someone who's actually been in the league for the past couple of years, and say that now that he's gone, they're just going to magically, turn into a great offense. The biggest problem that he had when he was in Chicago was he couldn't stay off the ground, and that's not necessarily his fault. And I'm just playing devil's advocate. Exactly. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If I really wanted to, right, I could have, like, if I'm in the Bears scenario, I could have kept Justin Fields. I could have drafted me a top offensive tackle and a top receiver to go along with already having Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. So now, not only am I my skill position squared up, but now I have added um, security that's not a mid-round draft pick, but is a top draft pick where you're going to get more consistency. That's the road I would have went down. But they believe in Caleb Williams, and like you said, this is definitely the best scenario that a number one quarterback can come into, without a doubt.
Well, it was also a financial decision, Troy, because if you keep Justin Fields is at the end of his rookie deal, which means you've got to pay Justin Fields 19, 20 plus $1 million. Whereas with Caleb Williams, you've restarted the rookie contract, and he's going to be on a rookie deal for the next 3 to 4 years. So it's also a financial decision, because do you want to put all of that money into Justin Fields, not really knowing if he's going to be the quarterback of the future? So I think money had a lot to do with it.
Without a doubt. Because here's the thing, it's not like he played bad last season. He started to, get a little bit more into a rhythm as the season went on, but who's going to play well within that crappy system? It seems like everything turned around after he left, and that's a slap in the face, in my opinion. And then not only that, but then they got rid of him for a 6th-round draft pick, in which now he's in Pittsburgh. They ain't even picked up his option yet,
And they aren't going to. Pittsburgh has already announced that they aren't going to pick up his option because Pittsburgh doesn't want to pay him 19 or 20 plus $1 million.
Yeah, well, okay. Here's what I know. Get the man in the right position. He's an Ohio State quarterback. I know it's a lot of knock on Ohio State quarterbacks, but CJ Stroud has broken that myth that black Ohio State quarterbacks don't come in and, handle their business. And, I feel as if you give him an offensive line and he's not running for his life, he can show you what he can do. And it's, it's like, now that he's gone, now they want to prioritize, getting them targets and, doing X, Y, and Z. I just think that if it didn't work for Justin Fields, I don't know. I hope it worked out for Caleb Williams. I hope everything, works out for Chicago. But they're known to just do dumb things at the wrong time. So who knows?
Well, I've said for years, the system. If I don't care who the quarterback is, if he's not in the right system, it can make him look really, really bad. When we've seen that in the past, where we've seen quarterbacks struggle at one place, but then they get traded into a better system, and then that quarterback looks like a much better quarterback. A case in point, look at the guy in Tampa Bay Buccaneers that I felt like
you're talking about
the player of the year. Comeback player of the year for the Buccaneers.
Talking about Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, exactly right. All right, look, let's move on. We are in the DMV. We are in the D.C., Virginia, Maryland area. So, man, Troy, tell us how excited, man. It's an electricity in the air with this draft for the Washington Commanders, taking Jayden Daniels, number 2, number 36 pick, Jer'Zhan Newton, who I personally more excited about than Jayden Daniels. At 50, they took defensive back Mike Sandersfield, number 53, tight end Ben Sinnott, 67, offensive tackle Brandon Coleman. And then they went to the McCaffrey family at wide receiver, Luke McCaffrey. At 139, they took linebacker Jordan McGee, who I think is going to be starting at some point for the Washington Commanders. Then they picked up a defensive back, Dominic Hampton. Washington always needs a defensive back. They always need defensive backs and offensive linemen. And then defensive end, Javonte Jean-Baptiste. The Commanders entered a new era with an excellent draft. Daniels could be an elite dual-threat playmaker, Troy, if he becomes more efficient from the pocket. Newton is a force in the front four. Sandstreal, like I said, he's going to be a pain for opposing receivers. Sinnott is an underappreciated receiving blocking weapon. Coleman is a powerful /guard tackle. And McCaffrey is going to be a reliable wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 option, I think. And I also, like I said, I think they found future starting linebacker in Jordan McGee, whose explosiveness I felt was underappreciated while he was at Temple. Hampton possesses a nice combination of size and quickness, and he could play as a rookie. What's your thoughts on your Washington Commanders, Troy?
Oh shoot! You basically just like took my summary on every player.
Oh, so, wait a minute, man! Wait a minute! Wait, but you the Commanders expert, man. I'm sorry, my bad. Tell me how you feel about the draft. I mean, first of all, let me just say I gave the Washington Commanders, and you know I'm usually kind of hard on the Commanders. I gave the Commanders an A- in this draft. Well, what's your take on that?
Yeah, A- is feasible. B+, A-, it's definitely feasible. The picks that they made were all the right picks. Mike Sandersfield out of Michigan. Nick Saban was saying that he's pound for pound the best player in this draft. And a lot of the draft experts were saying if he was like 6'1", had a little bit more height, he'd be, a top pick in the first round in any draft, especially considering he was the heartbeat for that defense in Michigan. So I love that pickup. Of course, getting Jayden Daniels over Drake May, I was just happy with that in general. Johnny Newton, we're more than likely going to transfer to a 3-4 system. So putting him with Deron Payne and Josh Allen up front, and then drafting, and not only drafting, but using free agency to pick up all these linebackers, it's just beautiful because now you can get a little bit more experimental with Jamin Davis. You can leave Frankie Louvu and you can leave Bobby Wagner in the middle. And not only that, have Jordan McGee, who I agree with you is going to be a starter sometime down the line, if not this year, sometime soon. But anyway, just being able to have him sit and learn behind the Hall of Fame Mike linebacker, it's just going to do nothing but, make things easier. I love the Luke McCaffrey pick. Anytime you go get a guy with the last name McCaffrey tied to that family tree, one thing.
I know you like that.
Of course, because here's the thing. I've always been forget Christian. I've been a fan of Christian since Stanford, but I liked Ed back when he played in Denver. Back when it was him and it was another with TD and I want to say Rod something, but anyway,
Rod.
You know who I'm talking about. I just can't think of his last name. He played wide receiver with him, but anyway. Um, my point being is that one thing I loved about Ed's game was that he was such a great route runner. He was a great route runner. He wasn't the fastest, but he was smooth, and he caught almost everything thrown to him. So, I see that a lot in Luke's game. One thing I like is that he's definitely made a name for himself outside of the shadow of just being the baby brother to Christian and then the son to Ed, right? So, I love the fact that he's made his mark in Rice's program. And, they did a great job. The only problem I had with the Commanders draft was, and you know what, I get it. You draft back, you trade back to get more capital. You don't trade with Philly at pick 40. You don't do that because what bothers me now is we need as much DB help as we can get, and we got, like I said, we got Sandstrom out of Michigan, so that's great. But you know, when Cooper DeJean is on the board, and this dude is you talk about All American, he could have been a professional baseball player. He averaged close to a triple double in high school.
Yeah, you're working into the Eagles draft, and they're coming up next. So
now I know, but my point being is that the Eagles traded up with us to take him when he slipped, when he was originally a first round talent. And the reason why he didn't get drafted in the first round was because all those quarterbacks that went quickly, so it threw off the board. But if you're going to make that trade back, do it with somebody else. Can't do it with them.
Well, that seemed to be a theme in the draft, and we're going to talk about that with Buffalo messing around with Kansas City. That's a no-no. So we're gonna work into that. Last thing with the Commanders before you go, Jaden Daniels made a comment that really kind of didn't sit well with me. He said that he wants to be the best running quarterback that ever played in the NFL. And to me, I think that's just totally the wrong attitude, specifically saying he wanted to be a better running quarterback than Mike Vick and what's the kid in
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, right. And that, to me, I think the reason you want to take Jaden Daniels is because what he can do in the pocket. Yes, your quarterback has to be mobile in today's NFL, but to have a mindset that I'm going to be the best running quarterback, I just kind of think that's the wrong mindset. That's Lamar Jackson. What's your thoughts on that?
It's I'm a little on the fence on it, because I understand where he's coming from. If God bless you with speed, bro, you use it. It's simple, So I get where he's coming from, but at the same token, he's more than just a running quarterback, and so is Lamar Jackson. And quite honestly, so is Michael Vick. It's just that's what the media and that's what everybody portrays because they see that style, they see the skin tone that goes behind it, and therefore it's, I'm going to be the very best mobile quarterback that there is. How about just be the best quarterback?
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
It's just like you don't need the mobile, you don't need the pocket. Like it's like why put yourself in a box? We already know you run a 4.4. We already know that you can turn a corner. We already know that you can turn a broken pass play into a 30-yard game with your legs. That's cool. But it's like, why put a target on your back as a runner?
Right.
Like use running as a, how do I put it, as a defensive, not necessarily something where you're just looking to go out and get 100 yards rushing a game. Like, look, man, you're 210 pounds. Like, there's only so much running you're going to do without potentially, ruining yourself. The only thing that I pray is that over time, he continues to develop his ability to not get hit and to slide, because that's what Lamar Jackson does better than any mobile quarterback. I don't really see Lamar Jackson, when he takes hits, he's initiating contact. When it's time to get down or get out of bounds, he gets down or he gets out of bounds. So that's what I want to see from him. Protect your body, protect your temple. Don't be RG3. Don't let your pride get in the way, and do what's best for the team.
Yeah, because we've seen that story with RG3. Hey, pattern yourself after the most effective running quarterback in all of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. because he's running to get the ball downfield. And
But see, I don't even view Patrick Mahomes as a running quarterback.
but he runs
Patrick
when it's
Mahomes
effective.
is, huh?
But he's very effective when he runs.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. But like I said, he uses running to, like in defense mode. When it's in dire need, like when I need to take off, that's when I'm going to take off. You don't see Patrick Mahomes putting up 80 yards rushing a game, as he shouldn't, and that's why I think Jaden Daniels should be. But we'll see. He's still young.
Yeah. Well, like we always say, the quarterback's number one job is to move the chains. Be a point guard and move the chains. Hey, let's move on. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. I gave the Eagles an A minus, Troy. I thought Philadelphia won the NFC East with their free agency plus the 2024 draft. As far as addressing their weaknesses, no one did better than the Eagles. Last year, the Eagles had the worst secondary in all of football, and that's why they failed like they failed. But man, did they address their needs in taking that Quinlan Mitchell at 22, and then, like you mentioned, at number 40, Cooper DeJean, to help their defensive backfield room. Both of these rookies are going to contribute immediately. I think Hunt's potential on the edge was worth the third round pick, and adding an all purpose running back like Will Shipley out of Clemson and a receiver, Smith, both will contribute to the Eagles' special teams and to their offense. And I know what you like this, Troy, bringing in the legacy pick of Trotter Jr. I know you like that.
Yeah.
That won't hurt him either. McMahon should
all.
start at center to replace Kelsey. And Keegan, I thought, was a great pickup late to add youth to the offensive line. I think the Eagles won the NFC East already. What's your take?
I agree. I just don't like Philly. I really despise Philly. I was talking to my friend, and I was telling her, mind you, she's a diehard Dallas fan. Me being a Commander fan, it's always, anybody but Dallas. That's my mantra, right? But now I think Philly is really starting to take over that spot. And it's like, for me, I just don't understand how they every single year they have the best management in all of football when it comes to player personnel. I don't know how they do it, but every year they find a way to restack their team to just be stacked on paper. Now it does have to transfer to the field, and I get that. But man, the talent that they have, the money that they just paid Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, and then you go and then you go get Saquon, and then you draft Will Shipley out of Clemson. He's
They
going to
loaded
be
for
the
Bear Ball.
and
They
it's like
loaded.
they're just loaded, man, and it's frustrating. And then it's like, okay, you think it has to be some sort of give up because with that great of an offense, the defense has to be slacking, right? Wrong. They're going to find a way to reset that.
Man,
And then
these
it's
two
like,
rookie corners, man, going to really contribute.
man, look. I'm high on Cooper. I'm high on guys that are multi-sport athletes, and not only multi-sport athletes, but really good multi-sport athletes. This guy could have been a St. Louis Cardinal if he wanted to. Let me tell you that.
Baseball Cardinal, you mean? St. Louis
Yes,
Baseball Cardinal.
yes, because his family even says that baseball is his best sport. And like I said, the dude averaged a triple double in basketball. For the state champion, like, come on, man. And then he's a track star on top of that. He's built. He's 6'1". That's true NFL number one corner. Size, speed, athleticism. You know, I him and Quinyon Mitchell.
That's
Look,
a great
you go
pickup.
out, you
for
get two. Without a doubt, they definitely
address
had
their
a really
weakness.
good draft. I just don't like Philly, so it is what it is. But last thing I'm gonna say is that the last thing you talked about the legacy pick. I love legacy picks. We saw what that did with Joey Porter Jr. in Pittsburgh. He turned into a true starter. He's going to go in there and only going to get better. He's going to have his dad on the staff with him. And that's only going to make things easier. Now you bring in a linebacker who has seen his father thrive.
Fulcrum, Sherman Coleman.
Washington and the other teams of that nature, right? But he's seen this before. He stayed up and watched film with his dad. You know, he knows what an NFL locker room looks like before he even got to the NFL, right? So it's like when you got guys that are kind of already built up for that, and then they finally get a chance to not only, continue the legacy, but continue the legacy for the same team that my father played for. Oh man, that's not. You're only going to get the best out of that situation. So I think they did really well.
Lori and I actually watched the draft a little bit together, Troy. And one of the things that we noticed, how when they were showing the team's war rooms, and when they cut the Philadelphia war room, it looked like a Fortune 500 company in there. I mean, they were just from the way they were dressed, it was like all business, man. Like big. Well, it is big business. It really is. But you could just really see the difference when they went from one team's war room to the next. When they hit Philadelphia's war room, it was like, oh man, them guys mean business in there, man.
Yeah, man. They're one of the few teams in the NFC that can actually say, we're trying to win the Super Bowl. Some teams may, have that goal, but it's not really realistic. Philly, Detroit, San Francisco, Green Bay is starting to get back to that point. Those are teams where they're always going to be in the hunt in the NFC. So they have an obligation and duty to their fans to, get the best players out every year. And especially in a division in the NFC where it doesn't matter what happened the year before, some other team is going to come up and be the, best team the very next year. You got to find a way to find consistency, and that's what they're doing.
All right, let's move on. And my next A- is to the best drafting team in the NFL for the last 15 years, the Baltimore Ravens. The best drafting team in the NFL year in and year out. The Ravens had yet another solid draft, taking their first pick being Nate Wiggins, is an elite defensive back with recovery speed like Deion Sanders. I like to see him put on a little more weight, Troy, a little bit more muscle. I felt like they addressed the wide receiver position with Walker and Rosengarten and Isaac were great value picks at the Ravens. They need help at the offensive tackle. They need linebacker help. But TJ Tampa's size and speed at the catch point made him he would have been a great second day pick. But the fact that they got TJ Tampa on the third day, Troy, that's like, to me, that was the steal of the third day in the draft, to pick up with that team, to team him up with Nate Wiggins. Like I said, as usual, the Ravens are solid in the draft, man. They year in and year out, the Ravens make it happen, man.
Yeah, they find guys that are, tangible to be plugged into their system quickly and then impact quickly.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, when you draft guys and they become Pro Bowlers after their rookie year, that lets you know you did your job as a GM.
That's right.
And at times, here's one thing I love about Baltimore, and I'm gonna use a golf scenario here for all my golfers out there. Let's think about it this way: you hit a ball into the trees. You have a little bit of an opening to take a, Bagger Vance type shot, but instead you decide to take your medicine and pitch it out to the fairway. Baltimore does the best job out of any team of just taking their medicine and pitching it out to the fairway when need be when it comes to the draft. And what I mean by that is they're not afraid of spending a top draft pick on a hog molly and really use that to get them to where they need to be. Their center that they drafted out of Iowa last year was probably the best pick that they've had in the past 5 years in the first round. I mean, of course, Lamar Jackson, the farewell from Gene Upshaw. But, outside of that, them going to get that Pro Bowl center, he's going to become a Hall of Famer in the next 10 to 15 years just from his consistency and work ethic. And people don't really understand how important it is to just go out and just get guys that, even though it might not be the sexiest pick, it's the most effective pick.
They overlooked that. They overlooked them interior linemen, defensive linemen, and that's what make or break your team, man. That's what
I'm
make or break
telling
your
you.
team. Man, hey man, people don't realize, man, the center is the quarterback of the offensive line, man. Come on, man. That's really, really important.
Yep.
Ravens have another outstanding draft. Hey, let's move on. At B plus, I got my San Francisco 49ers coming in with a B plus. I like Ricky Pearsall's their first pick. His overall quickness, his hands made him a first rounder, and it addressed the team needed wide receiver with the potential trading of Debo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk down the road. I think it's going to be, believe it or not, I think it's going to be Debo, Troy, because Debo's set to make 21, 22 million, and Ricky Pearsall fits the position that Debo Samuel's currently playing for the 49ers. That's what Ricky Pearsall does. So I think it's actually going to be Debo that the 49ers are going to try to unload down the road. Ronaldo Green and Dominic Pooney, they addressed the running back and offensive line. Of course, the 49ers need offensive line help. That's what the 49ers needed. I think they'll beef up their team and their holes with the trading of one of these star receivers. I think they're going to pull in some players that they'll need. What was your take on my Niners?
Yeah, I think Ricky Pearsall was a little bit of a head scratch, but with that being said,
he's a great man.
like who am I? I haven't really followed him fully, so I don't know all the full details on it. Going back to what you were saying regarding Debo or Brendan Ayuk, I think it's going to be Ayuk that's gone, because I just really think that Debo is just too irreplaceable in that scheme. He does just too much for y'all, and he's such a X factor that you always have to know where number 19 is. And there's no knock on Ayuk. I just think that he may get traded to the Commanders and may team back up with Jaden Daniels. That's what I think over time, but we'll see.
Okay, well, just like the Commanders is your team, the Niners is my team. Let me tell you who Ricky Pearsall is, Troy. Ricky Pearsall is Puka Nacua.
Don't do that.
I'm telling you right now, for fantasy purposes, Ricky Pearsall is Puka Nacua. Now we didn't know who Puka Nacua was, but this guy set the NFL on fire last year. That's who Ricky Pearsall is. I'm telling you.
But Ricky Pearsall is a first-round wide receiver, or at least he got drafted in the first round. Puka was somebody like a mid-fifth rounder. You get what I'm saying? So,
well, the reason you're scratching your head is because they've really done their homework on this guy. Because I felt like Xavier Worthy was going to be their guy, but man, they was looking at Ricky Pearsall all along. That was their dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why I think that they're going to actually let Debo go, because they can re-sign Brandon Ayuk for a lot less money than what it's going to cost them to keep people. Now, you know me, I want them to keep them all, but the problem with the 49ers is you can't have the highest paid player at every single position on the field.
Yeah.
And they're pretty close to having the highest paid player on every, and then they got to pay Brock Purdy now. They got to pay Brock Purdy. And that's why I think that $21 million that Debo is sitting on, I think Debo's gone.
Well, we'll see.
Yep, we'll see. Let's talk about the teams I thought that did well. Let me give you the rest of the A grades. We're just going to go through these, and then I'll let you talk about them. I gave the Arizona Cardinals an A-. Believe it or not, I gave the Dallas Cowboys an A-. Dallas always does a good job in the draft. It's like you said, it just doesn't translate to the field all the time. But Dallas always does a good job in the draft. I gave the Texans an A-, man. Let me tell you, man, the team that the NFL really needs to be worried about is the Houston Texans. They are coming. They're coming fast. They're coming hard. I give the Jaguars an A-. I give Mother Wiggs Kansas City Chiefs an A, because, man, they pulled a rabbit pick with the Buffalo Bills. Let's talk about that real quick. What's your thought on Buffalo letting Kansas City move up to take Xavier Worthy, the fastest guy in the draft, to team him with Brown? What's the guy? What's Antonio Brown's cousin?
Marquise Brown.
Marquise Brown. So now you got Marquise Brown, Xavier Worthy on the outside, stretching the field, taking the top off, and you still got Kelsey in the middle. Man, that's bad news for the Buffalo Bills. That's bad news for the NFL got along the Buffalo Bills, and Buffalo can't beat Kansas City. What would make them let Kansas City jump in front? And Buffalo needed wide receivers. Now I understand that Buffalo lost a lot of players because they just couldn't re-sign everybody, but they needed wide receivers, and I love their pick in Keon
Coleman.
Keon Coleman. I love that pick, but man, you can't let Kansas City get in front of you and take Xavier Worthy. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel you. Very similar thought process. Playing chess, I'm not giving you any type of advantage that's going to help you down the line. Because that's one of the few games where you have to think about 3 steps ahead while you're currently playing. And I promise you, I'm not giving you any type of Tyreek Hill replacement. I'm gonna give you opportunity to go draft somebody like Tyreek Hill.
Oh man, that's exactly what they just did, man. They let Kansas City reload with a Tyreek Hill type of guy. That's Lions and Tigers, Bears. Oh my.
Yeah. It's one of the things, and even though, because mind you, they're not in the same division, they're in the same conference, but they're not in the same division, so it's not necessarily like, okay, I gotta worry about playing you twice a year. It's just I gotta worry about playing you during the time of the year where it matters the most. But quite honestly, it's so many pieces from that Buffalo team that's gone. I don't really see them even making it to a AFC Championship game, or if they make the playoffs, I see them as a wild card type team. I don't really see them going 12-5 or 13-4, and getting a playoff berth. No, they're gonna have to struggle. That offense is gonna be brand new, and they got to find a way to restructure.
Well, I think what Buffalo is trying to do, which is smart from Jim Sir, they're trying to do what Detroit did a couple of years ago. I mean, if you can get 4 or 5 rookies to come in and play the way the Detroit Lions rookies came in and played last year, that's what brought you to the top. When those rookies can step in and, like you say, be Pro Bowlers in almost their first year, that takes you to another level. Let's move on. I gave the Chargers an A-. I gave the Rams an A-. I gave the Saints an A-. I gave the Steelers an A. The Steelers, the Ravens, and the Eagles are the best draft, and the 49ers, they're the best drafting teams in the NFL. The Seahawks get an A. Believe it or not, I gave the Titans an A-. Buffalo gets a B+, just because of what they did with Kansas City. The Panthers get a B. The Bengals get a B-. Browns get a C+. Okay. Broncos B-. I didn't, this coach of theirs, he wants a certain type of quarterback. Man, what are you seeing in Bo Nix? What are they seeing in Bo Nix that I'm not seeing, Troy? I'm missing this. What are they seeing in Bo Nix that I'm not seeing?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily what they see in Bo Nix. It was just what did they see currently at the time on the draft board. Because here's the thing, nobody thought that 5 quarterbacks were already going to be off the board by the time Denver was on the clock. So with that being said, it's one of them things where if you don't go get a quarterback now, you're going to have to settle for Spencer Rattler in the later rounds, or you're going to have to worry about trying to go trade for some veteran like they just got done doing. So I think that this is an attempt to try to rebuild from the start, so that way once they find their quarterback, they don't have to worry about paying him top dollar ASAP because he's still under rookie contract. I think that that's where they're at. But one thing I will say though is that the combination of not only getting Bo Nix, but then to go get his receiver that he played with in the later rounds, I think that that's a really good pickup. Considering that you already got a quarterback and wide receiver that already have clear communication with one another, chemistry, exactly, clear chemistry with one another, and understand, just little things. That's when the Cincinnati Bengals drafted Jamar Chase, that was the best thing that could have happened to Joe Burrow. It's like, all right, now my number 1 receiver is somebody that was my roommate. Like, I ain't got nothing to worry about. Like, I already know what this dude thinks. So it's one less thing to think about. I can just go out and play, So
Real
that's
quick,
my thing.
I want to ask you, did you see this reality show that Spencer Rattler was in? Because everybody talked about it, Curtis draft status. Did you see any of that?
Man, you talking about the old QB1? That was back when he was in high school.
Is that what it was, QB? Because I thought it was some other type of reality show.
Yeah, so it covered him when he was in high school. It basically, because back then he was a 5-star product going to Oklahoma, best quarterback in his class. Had a lot of pressure and expectation on his head. And when things didn't work out, he got the treatment of, oh, you're just a wannabe Patrick Mahomes, and you're just this and you're just that, and it didn't really bode well for him. It messed up his psyche, messed up his confidence. He had to transfer. That's how he ended up at the school that he was at. When he got drafted. And it's just a lot of pressure on a 17, 18-year-old kid. But I think that that's the best thing that could have happened, because if he would have had a great college career and then kept that clout going into the draft, that would have set him up for failure, as opposed to him already kind of being like the bottom of the barrel when it comes to people's expectation. Now he can play up to the level that people thought he could play back when he was in high school, and then live up to it. So, everybody's story, everybody's journey is different in life. And I feel like for him going through that's going to be a good, humbling experience. Come in and sit behind Derek Carr and learn behind him for however long, and then, just constantly be ready. You never know. Injuries happen constantly, and if he gets his opportunity, hopefully things work out for him.
Okay, we got to move on. The NFL rules, we could have really done this whole show on just the draft, but we got NBA playoff basketball to talk about. So let's get on to this. I gave the Lions a B. I like the Lions like the Eagles. They added 2 different spots that they need. I gave the Packers a B, gave the Colts a B+. The Raiders a B-. Let me just throw this little curve at you. What do you think? What would you think if I told you that by the season, when this season starts up, that Tom Brady could be the Raiders' new quarterback?
And you know what? I'm right there with you. I would not be surprised if that happened, because let me tell you something. They got Gronk. They got Gronk. Let me tell you something. They got Gronk. Now, this is what's scary. I don't know. Well, Gronk probably not going to come back out of retirement, even if Tom Brady comes back, because it's like he didn't already did that before. But let me tell you, Brock Bowers is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if you bring back Tom, Brock Bowers is going to be everything that Sam Laporta was last year and then some.
All right, let's move on. Dolphins a B-, Vikings a B+, Patriots got a B, Giants a B+. I love Malik Neighbors. Jets a B+, Buccaneers B+. The last one we're going to talk about, the Atlanta Falcons, a C+. Most people think it was a failure draft day for the Falcons, primarily because of taking Michael Penix Jr. selection at number 8 overall, given that Kirk Cousins invested in the offseason. They spent $180 million on Kirk Cousins. Now, I don't think this is as bad as everybody's making it out to be, and I just want to say this because I want to liken this. If you can go back just the other day on 30 for 30, they were showing the Elway Marino draft and how all those teams passed on Dan Marino. I mean, it's ridiculous now to think about. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, but you think about all the teams and all the players that they took instead of taking Dan Marino, and I think that's what the Falcons have here. What's your take, Troy?
I agree. I agree. Here's the thing. It's one of the things where you just paid a quarterback to come in here, and then you go out and draft a quarterback with your first pick. That's where I feel like the confusion is, right? But you got to take 2 things into account. One, the guy is coming off an Achilles injury, and who's to say he's even going to be anywhere remotely the same following that injury, right? So, you got that problem. And then 2, even though, you could say, well, Michael Penix has an injury problem too. He tore both his ACLs a few years ago. Well, that was a few years ago. That's not now. Like, he didn't have that problem last year. And, even though he's already a little bit older to begin with, if something goes south, at least they got another quarterback that they can rely on and feel like, okay, I don't have to shrink the playbook because this was my first overall selection anyway, right? So, I don't know. It's a saying that if you have 2 good quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. But with that being said,
not in today's NFL. You got to have two quarterbacks because it's just hard for one quarterback to make it through 17 games, man. It's a rough sport, man. So I like the move. I really do like the move. Hey, look, we got to move on. Let's get to the 2024 NBA playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, the playoffs. Let's start off with the Knicks and the 76ers, Troy. I want to give you my 5 keys to the Knicks' success, and then we'll go from there. If we got highlights, let's roll those. That'll be good. Like I said, we're starting off with the Knicks versus the 76ers. MVP Jalen Brunson. You hear what I said? MVP Jalen Brunson. I know you don't like that. Poured in 47 points. A New York Knicks playoff record topping Bernard King's 1984 performance. Brunson also added 10 dimes with only one turnover, Troy. Only one turnover. Anobi added 16 points and 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, and playing some critical defense on Joel Embiid as the Knicks take a 3-1 series lead over the Sixers. Okay, I want to give you these 5 keys for me from the Knicks, Troy. Number 1, the Knicks and Brunson, they targeted Embiid. Okay, they specifically targeted him. The Knicks set 52 ball screens for Jalen Brunson, with 35 of those 52 ball screens set by the guy Embiid was guarding. So even the team's 2 MVPs, even though the team's 2 MVPs weren't really guarding each other, it was very much Brunson versus Embiid on the Knicks end of the floor. In the end, Brunson got the better of it. Embiid scoring 47 points. Philly obviously needs to do a better job of getting the ball out of Brunson's hand and having Embiid guard pick and rolls more aggressively. It's not the solution. It will be up to the Sixers to navigate those screens better and be ready to help off Brunson's teammates. Number 2, Troy, the Knicks continue to dominate the glass. The Knicks were just 5 for 19 from three-point range on Sunday, but overall in the series, they're 40 for 98, which is 41% from the arc for the series. So sending help to the ball also leaves defense vulnerable on the glass, and the Knicks once again punished the Sixers with offensive rebounds. In Game 1, Troy, the Knicks had 23 offensive rebounds, and that led to 26 second-chance points. In Game 2, they had 12 offensive rebounds, which led to 12 second-chance points, leading to Isaiah Hartenstein's offensive rebound that led to DiVincenzo's game-winning three-pointer. And in Game 4, the Knicks turned 15 offensive rebounds into 21 second-chance points, with half of those second-chance points coming in the fourth quarter. Number 3, defending Embiid is not a one-man job. The Knicks were out. They were without Mitchell Robinson, who re-injured his ankle in Game 3. Hartenstein picked up his 5th foul in the third quarter, and this is what impressed me, Troy, which put Precious Achiuwa on the floor for the final 14 minutes of the game, but he wasn't guarding Embiid. It belonged to Anunoby, who had plenty of help from his teammates. The Sixers' execution against double teams wasn't good. Their lack of executing cost them this game. The Knicks forced the 76ers to play late into the clock, Troy. When Kelly Oubre dunked with 5 minutes and 4 seconds left in the fourth quarter, the Sixers' last field goal, the Knicks allowed Macy to hit an open 3 on the next possession. But after that, they locked the Sixers down. They fought over the screens. Their off-ball help down the stretch and defensive rotations were fantastic, Troy. They basically, here's the last key. Here's the main thing. They basically out-hustled the 76ers, man. It's really been the story of the whole series. The double teams with the terrific defensive rotations, contesting shots on the three-pointers. They just had more energy than the 76ers showed. They were just flat out hustling the Sixers. And with Brunson and Anunoby in the lineup, the New York Knicks are 22-3 overall, Troy, and they're 13-0 mark Madison Square Garden, where they can end this series in Game 5 on Tuesday at 7 p.m. on TNT. What was your take on the Sixers?
Oh, well.
I watched this game, man. I actually watched this game.
I did too, but you did such an extensive job to explain everything. I really don't got much to say on it. But one thing that I'll say though is that it's a shame that this man's not healthy. If he's even 75%, 80%, it makes things that much harder for New York to do what they're doing. But with that being said, though, they have stepped up. They're playing as a team. You know, they're doing all the dirty work. You know, that's the main thing. In order to win in this time of the year, you gotta be willing to get your hands dirty. So, you know, if they continue to keep the mindset that they got, they're going to be a tough out.
Hey man, I thought Embiid's playing a little bit dirty too. I thought the play where he slammed Brunson in the head with an elbow shiver, I thought that fired Brunson up, man. What was your take on that?
It did. And, you know, Brunson has
Brunson a dog,
that.
man.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? I saw that like if you walked up and kicked the pit bull in the head.
Mm.
Brunson a dog, man. You gonna walk up and kick a pit bull in the head? That dude got mad, man. He got mad, and I thought Embiid hurt him too.
Yeah.
Man, well, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to kick a sleeping dog. You surely don't want to kick a sleeping pit bull. I think that's what Embiid did, man. He lit them boys. Just like Embiid lit them up with the 50 piece. And that 47 piece was just like that 50 piece, man.
Well, yeah, you know, they got two dogs on both sides. You know, now they're just one game away from finishing it off. They got to finish the game off.
Okay.
You know, all this is cool, but they got to finish it.
Are the Sixers done?
Yeah, they're pretty much cooked. You know, here's the thing: is even if they do win this series, they're not going to be able to continue to be like have anything going for them with Embiid not being fully healthy. You know, so yeah, I think they're cooked.
All righty, let's move on. The Timberwolves sweep the Suns. We got to talk about this, man. The Timberwolves absorbed the Suns' best shot to complete the series sweep in Game 4. KD and Booker came to play, turning in a pair of truly dominant performances, combining for 82 points. Booker with 49, while KD poured in 33. They still lost 122-116 to the young and upstart Timberwolves, securing their first sweep in a playoff series in franchise history. Every blow that the Suns dealt, Timberwolves absorbed, man. Man, you talked about this last week, man. Once again, Anthony Edwards, he has announced his presence with authority, Troy. He made every play when the T-Wolves needed it. He was the closer that everyone is looking for. His performance was Jordan-esque, okay? His monster dunk to make it 115-111, to me, seemed to seal the deal. And he finished with 40 points, 9 boards, 6 dimes. Every time the Suns made a run, the Wolves had an answer. What's your take?
Yeah, you know, out of that 40 points, he hit 7 threes, so he scored 21 out of his 40 from the three-point line, mainly in the second half. But regardless, though, yeah, the dude is different. Anthony Davis.
Different.
I mean, Anthony
He's
Edwards.
different, huh?
Yeah, Anthony.
He's different. Like little short yellow school bus different.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, bro, he did a good job. He played well. You know, Phoenix, I think this was more so on Phoenix not really having an identity on what they wanted to do offensively. You know, this whole experiment of having Devin Booker at the point guard, as good as Devin Booker is as a basketball player, he's not a true point guard. You need that joker on the wing with the ball out of his hands, then catching and then making a play, as opposed to being somebody he's not, constantly trying to run pick and roll. And then, you know, they saw the same thing with Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal coming up and trying to be point guard. Them dudes is not point guards. They are, you know, wing guys. They are 2-3s, like shooting guard, small forwards. Those are their two primary positions. They need somebody to be their true point guard. Don't got to be a 15-point-a-game scorer. You just got to be somebody that can facilitate, get up and down the court, and play defense. That's it.
Hey, man,
you know,
look,
because...
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just want to say this. I think this was a worse failed experiment than KD, Kyrie, and the Beard in New Jersey, man. I think this is a worse. I think it's worse. I do.
No. And the reason, because the reason why that didn't work in Brooklyn was because everything. But they should have look. If Kevin Durant's shoe size was a quarter of an inch shorter, they beat Milwaukee in that series, and they go to the finals.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the Suns
Right.
is worse than that. That's what I'm saying.
Well, here,
That's what I'm saying. Brooklyn
I know, but
was at least in it.
I wouldn't even put them in that category. Like,
I think it's the worst
with Brooklyn.
big three ever, man. Look, how did the Suns salvage their future? They just don't have enough. Bradley Beal was terrible in Game 4. They had a 3-0 record against the Timberwolves during the regular season, so they got a good draw in the first round. They just pooped in their pants. Man, that's $150 million between three players to get swept in the first round. I don't think so. This is a major failure for this organization. They have no bench. They got no bigs. You just got to be more competitive. They got to show more competitiveness in this series. They went all in and they got busted on their so-called dream team. They should have. Look, KD should have never left Golden State. Should have never left Steph. The Suns have basically mortgaged their future, and they got nowhere to go. Next season, the Suns' payroll, Troy, is going to be over $200 billion, and they still need a point guard, like you said. Let's get to the Lakers, man. The Lakers finally beat the Nuggets, 119-108. The LA Lakers break their 0-10 or 0-11 run against the Denver Nuggets to avoid the second sweep in consecutive playoff years to stay alive in the first round series. However, down 3-1, the Lakers still in Game 5 tonight on the verge of elimination. It's a one-game series for us, LeBron James said. Monday's game is the most important game of the season for us, and we understand that. And we have to repeat the same message of just win one. Anthony Davis was masterful, Troy, on Saturday with 25 points and 23 boards, and he dishing out 6 dimes. He's averaging 31 points on 62% shooting from the floor and 16 rebounds per game, while matching up against the Joker, who's just averaging a triple-double of 33 points, 14 rebounds, and 14 dimes. Isn't that ridiculous, man? Well, listen, the key for the Fakers was D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell outplayed the Nuggets star guard Jamal Murray, scoring 21 points, with Austin Reeves also pointing in 21 points. The Fakers had 4 players score over 20 points, which is what it's going to take for them to beat the champs. The Lakers led by as many as 19, and they never trailed. They finally played a good third quarter, only being outscored by 3 points. The Lakers won the battle of the boards, and LeBron scored 14 of his 30 points in the fourth quarter. As usual, LeBron was brilliant with his complete all-around effort and game. But I just want to throw this out here for you, Troy. The Lakers need to feature AD more in the fourth quarter. He's had massive games, but not in the fourth quarter. I want you to keep your eye on that tonight. What's your take?
Okay, so I'm gonna start with some stats, and I'm gonna go off of my personal belief. Throughout this whole series, now mind you, of course, Denver's up 3-1, but Denver has only led through 3 games they've won for 41 minutes and 53 seconds. The Lakers have led, and mind you, only won 1 game for 139 minutes and 29 seconds. Now, what that lets me know is that when it comes down to crunch time, you're doing something wrong, right? And the one thing that I'll say to that is that watching yesterday, they tried to give up the lead at times in that fourth quarter, but they just, Ron got in his mode. He got to the rim. You start to see everything start to gel. And more importantly, Denver just was missing their shots. It's pretty evident. They just didn't play too great. But, overall, just based off the stat that I just told you, they ain't really been playing great this whole series. So, it ain't really like, it's a fluke that they got beat by 20 the last game that they played. Now, the reason why I bring all that up is this reason. In the fourth quarter, I was watching the game, Game 4, and they just kept taking shots so quick in the shot clock while having a 15-point or more lead. And for me, it gives me gray hair because I can't speak on everybody else as an athlete. I learned a long time ago, especially, in those type of scenarios, the clock, here's the thing, in high school, we didn't have a shot clock in boys basketball. So scratch that. But, in general, though, you want to be able to use the clock to your advantage because the person who controls the clock controls the game. Even going back to what Bill Parcells said a long time ago for football, person who controls the clock controls the game. If they get in the lead, which they more than likely will in the first quarter, it's going to transfer to them having the lead in halftime. The third quarter is when the Denver Nuggets beat them. It's all about, okay, once you get beat in the third quarter, can you just manage the fourth quarter? Run the clock down to 6-7 seconds every single time you touch the ball in the fourth quarter. If they do that, it's going to force them to take smarter, more logical shots, which they've been doing, and finishing more at the rim. I haven't seen LA finish at the rim and focus on points in the paint like they did in Game 4. If they do that, it's a good chance that they can go to Game 6.
All right, we got to wrap the show up, Troy. We're definitely not going to be able to make the NHL playoffs. I'm sorry about that for you guys. Real quick, the Clippers and the Mavs, little by little, the Clippers' 31-point disappeared. Once Kyrie Irving drove the lane for a key bucket in the game, it was a complete Dallas rally that finally pushed the Mavericks ahead 105-104. Something interesting took place, though. Coach Tyronn Lue told the team, "We're okay. They're great players. We didn't expect to be up by 31 in their building." And then the Clippers closed for the 116-111 win over the Mavericks in Game 4. I thought it was a super star duo show with Harden and Paul versus Irving and Doncic. They combined for 135 points, boy. Harden and George combined for 66 points and 15 dimes, while Irving scored a game-high 40 points, 7 boards, and 5 dimes. Doncic knocked his first postseason triple-double of the season. He's got 4 in his career, and interestingly, all coming against the Clippers. And man, it's Hall of Famer versus Hall of Famer in this matchup, man. Whoever comes up with stops is going to win. Did you notice that Kyrie put together another perfect quarter, Troy? This was Kyrie Irving's third quarter in this series that he shot 100% from the field with 5 or more shots. He was 5 for 5 in the second quarter for 16 points. In Game 1, in the third quarter, he was 8 for 8 for 20 points. And then he was 5 for 5 in Game 2 for 16 points. The silver lining, Kawhi still is absent. Paul George stepped up with 33 points, 8 dimes, and 4 steals. He has to continue to avoid foul trouble, Troy, so he can stay defensively aggressive while still being offensively minded. And the bottom line is Harden has to handle his business. He has to play at an MVP level, and he has to be a facilitator and a scorer, especially with Kawhi Leonard out of the lineup. Hey, man, we out of time. We're not going to be able to get to the NHL 24 playoffs tonight. I apologize for that. Tonight, we got the Lightning versus the Panthers at 7 p.m., and then we got the Stars versus the Golden Knights at 9:30. The Rangers already got rid of our Capitals. We were going to have Felix on to talk about that, but we'll get him. I promise we'll make time for that next week, and we'll get that in. We got no trivia questions. Hey, man, time flies. Time flies. We're here for a dynamic, in-depth analysis and highlights for the Washington Football and DC Sports Team and more. Check out the Washington Sports Den Thursdays at 2 p.m. on WBGR with my main man, Felix Bassett. Like I said, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you for spending your time with us. May the gates of heaven open and pour an abundance of blessings down on you, but there won't be room enough to contain it. Remember, if you want it, you got to confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the third day, not Thursday, Troy, right?
That's correct. Just
for you. Remember,
hey, can I say one more thing before you go?
Mm-hmm.
Just make it quick. For the boxers out there, for my boxing fans out there, Francis Ngannou, the guy that fought the Gypsy King and trained with Mike Tyson, his 15-month-old son just passed away today. So keep him in your prayers. I can only imagine what him and his family are going through. And, I can't imagine a parent having to bury their child, but at 15 months old, that's tragic. So, prayers up to him and the family.
All right, thanks for that, Troy. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. God bless you. We'll see you on the same bat time, on the same bat station. Thanks for checking in. You guys have a good evening. God bless you.
Peace.
About to blow up. I'm the bomb and about to blow up. Whoa, 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 whoa. legend even if I'm poor. I ain't chasing nothing, you gon' have to catch me. And if you wanna taste, you gon' have to pay a fee. I'm the bomb and about to blow up. I'm the bomb and about to blow up.